Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where and when you guys are listening to this. But my name is Sean Go, and welcome to episode 26 of the Channel 8 podcast. Joining me on the show is a good friend of mine, one of the most talented and influential people in the Canadian sneaker scene today. He goes by Jonathan Crandell, but you probably know him better just as Cran. How's it going, man?
Hey, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm good.
That's quite the intro.
It sounds like you had a bit of a wild night last night.
Yeah. I am crushing waters and the Gatorade Propel to bring me back to life. Had a few too many whiskeys last night. So, yeah.
It is the long weekend, so I mean, it's a fitting start. So
yeah, definitely had to get it going right. Yeah.
But aside from that, how's everything going? How's life? I know you just got married, so congrats.
Yeah, that was great. That was 2 weeks ago, which is crazy. We waited quite a long time, just with COVID and everything like that. We got engaged before the pandemic, and then basically there was just a bunch of different things that happened, obviously, that made us push it numerous times. So it was really nice to finally get married and have the ceremony and the reception and all that. All of our friends and stuff. It was awesome. Yeah.
How many dates did you guys have to push it?
We moved it 3 times.
Holy crap.
Yeah, our first date was June of 2020. Obviously, that didn't work out, and we pushed it a year after that, and even a year after that, it was getting to the point where, I mean, I don't know if you remember, in June of this year, it was still like you couldn't have a larger wedding outside because ours was outside, so we had to push it again because we wanted to have the wedding that kind of, I don't know, something that we really wanted to celebrate that felt ownable to us, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So we pushed it one more time and just thought, okay, hopefully the government will loosen restrictions a little bit. And they did, and ended up being like an awesome day. So it was great.
Yeah, I was kind of following on your IG stories, so it looked like an incredible wedding. So congrats again, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it was awesome.
So usually how I start off this show, you probably know this by now, but I like to ask you, what shoes have you been wearing in the past week? What's been in your rotation?
So for me, the rotation this week, and I mean, honestly, for most of this summer since I got them, has been the Fear of God Californias. That's like my go-to everyday shoe that it's so easy to slip on. They're comfy. They kind of go with like every outfit. They're here if you've never seen them, but yeah, they're great, man. They're like a really comfy shoe. I guess more of like a Croc or something, but they go with everything. They're always like at the front of my door, so that's usually what I'm wearing when I go out.
How's the comfort on them though? Like, have you worn the Yeezy one?
Yeah, I've tried the Yeezy ones. They're pretty comfortable. For me, they didn't really fit my foot right.
I can see that. Like, it's
yeah. And these, I don't know, these fit perfectly. There is like the sizing issue. Like, I think, Fear of God sizing is a little bit different than regular sizing. So I think you had to like properly check their, conversion chart and make sure you were picking the right size. And luckily I did. So these fit great, but the comfort's awesome. They're pretty responsive, and I wouldn't say squishy, but they just have a nice bounce to them.
And do they actually hold your foot in place? Because it looks like it's kind of like a mule almost, right?
Yeah, it's like a mule, but it's narrow enough that it's pretty tight to your foot and it's hugging your foot. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, no issues there. Yeah.
So for myself, let's see, it's been a pretty decent variety. So I started off the week with the Barcelona SB Dunk Lows. Then I followed that up with the Kith New Balance 990 V2 in the steel blue colorway. On Wednesday, I wore the undefeated Nike Dunk Low 5 on it in that signal blue colorway, which I know you're a big fan of.
So good. Yeah.
And then I watched the Shang-Chi Thursday night premiere. So because of that, I had to rep the Asianness. I brought out the Clot Air Jordan 14 Lows, the terracotta colorway. Nice. And then yesterday I just went for dinner and I just broke out the Sean Weatherspoon's Adidas ZX 8000s. So that's been cool. My rotation for the week. In terms of sneaker pickups, have you picked up anything in the past week or two?
Yeah, it's been kind of crazy. I got a lot of pairs in the last, I would say, week and a half. That I'm not normally picking up a lot. It just kind of depends what's happening. But I was lucky enough to have a few pairs sent to me. So I got the next pack or the
Oh,
next
damn.
undefeated Dunk versus Air Force One. This is the blue and yellow. I think it's like a UCLA colorway, which is awesome. These are great. They got the croc skin. I love that they like went with like the yellow swoosh on the medial side. These sorry. Got obviously the black too, the black Dunk out of this pack, which is they give me like Gino Iannucci vibes, like old SB
Yeah,
vibes, which
I
is
see
really
that.
cool. Yeah, they're sick. I love these. Um, these guys came in, which was awesome because I was super geeked on these. I think these are awesome. I know a lot of people kind of like were hating on this like Travis Jordan collab, like thinking it's like too hype. I love it personally. I think they're super nice. It's a great colorway. And yeah, I don't know. I like lows and whatnot. Uh, got these the social status Dunk the chocolate milk colorway that's coming. I think they delayed it to next week. Same with the Dunks, but or the undefeateds. But these are awesome in person. The materials are insane. This like swoosh actually feels like it's filled with like a
Jelly or something?
cream or jelly or
That's
like milk or
crazy.
whatever. It's really cool. And then the last pickup was just these the Lightning fours. Won a raffle at Nike Eaton Center. Pick those up because they're just super clean, really nice four.
That's a crazy week of pickups, man. I think you're carrying both of us because I've probably had the quietest week since I started this podcast.
You are. I've watched like almost all your episodes, and every time you're like, "Yeah, I like had a pretty chill week. I got." And it's like bang, bang, bang. It's like, yeah,
It's
chill
actually
week.
been it's actually been legitimately a quiet week. So I got the Fragment Sakai LD waffle in the blue and the gray. So I'm going to be posting my review on the blue one, I think later today. So check that out on my channel. And then I got the New Balance 550 trio that kind of dropped at all the stores, the purple, navy blue, and the green, which looks very similar to the ALD green 550.
Right.
After I
So
had them in hand, I'm like, this is very, very close.
So they're doing the Nike equation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hit us with a limited collab and then
Yeah.
flood the market with something that's like pretty damn similar, which, whatever. It's
It
cool.
works. Yeah.
So now let's move on to my channel flipping segment, which is a rapid fire Q&A session where I give you two options and you pick the one option that you're feeling the most. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So first question. Would you rather give up coffee or kicks?
Oh, that's tough. I thrive off coffee. I need
I
coffee,
know.
but I would give up coffee.
Okay.
I think I'd make the cut. Yeah.
So that means bye-bye to Cran's coffee shop?
Yeah, there you go. It's done.
All right, next question. Jordan 1 mids or Air Force 1 mids?
Honestly, I really like Air Force One mids. I think they're interesting. Yeah. I've never worn Jordan 1 mids. I think I've maybe picked up one or two, and I'm not one of the guys who's like, these are a disgrace or whatever. Like I don't really care, but I actually do like Air Force One mids. Yeah, I would go with those.
Pata New Balance 991 or Kith RC 1300?
Gotta go Kith RC 1300. Yeah.
Fear of God or Off-White in general terms?
In general terms, as a clothing brand or
just everything they've done?
Wow, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go Fear of God just because I think everything that he does is just so wearable. And his like design aesthetic is very much something I am aligned with, like in just in terms of a look.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So I don't own a lot of Fear of God because it's obviously crazy expensive, but I'll go Fear of God.
Cool. I'm a Manier hand wash cold Air Force One or the Stussy Air Force Ones?
Looking at them both right now. The hand wash cold, those are so nice. You have them, right?
I don't have those. No.
Oh, really?
It's I have a thing with like dark,
all dark,
almost black, shoes. It's but it looks incredible. Like I saw your pictures and everything. It looks incredible.
The materials are insane on them.
Yeah.
They're really well done.
Stussy SB Dunk Lows The cherry ones or Tiffany SB Dunk lows?
I don't have the Tiffany's, but I have the cherries, so I'll go with the cherries.
Travis Scott Air Jordan 1s, all of them, or Union Air Jordan 1s, all of them?
Look at me, stumped. Honestly, I do love Travis's, but I think that the Union ones are like so special in the sense of the moment that it had and still has. Like I wear them all the time, but um yeah, I think there's something super special about those two Union ones.
You have both of them?
Yeah, yeah.
Which one do you like more?
I like the Storm Blue more.
Yeah,
I wear that more than the black toe. It's more unique. It
same
just,
here. Yeah.
I don't know. It looks great. It looks great on foot.
And I think, was the Storm Blue one the Union exclusive? That one
Exclusive.
was, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, both of them are incredible.
So good.
Next question: Jordan 1s or SB Dunks? Because I know you are a dunk head. Like,
Mhm.
so
Yeah, it comes in waves, I feel. It's like when I first started collecting sneakers and got into sneakers, dunks were like that was all I really knew. I didn't really come around to Jordan until a little bit later. Um, so because of that, as much as I love Jordan ones and I wore Jordans on my wedding, I will go dunks.
okay. Imitators, are they more flattering or more annoying?
I feel like that's a line on Drake's album. Did you listen to Drake's album?
Halfway through, man.
I think imitation is flattering. I mean, if it's blatant ripoff, I would say that's annoying. But like, I think it's cool to be inspired and put your own spin on it and things like that. I think I've seen a lot of people who kind of take a similar aesthetic and approach to me in terms of like lighting and whatnot. When I don't know, I think it's cool. I'm like, as long as it's not like super blatant, then yeah, I think it's fun.
Cool. And last question for you: aging a retro or just buying an OG?
I would say it's tough because obviously that I do that. And again, it's tough because I bought the 85s, and I've made a pair of 85s, whatever, with the vintage treatment. But I think there's something to be said about getting the original, so I'll go originals.
Yeah. On that note, so you bought an original 1985 Jordan 1 Chicago, right?
Chicago, yeah,
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 that's crazy, man. It must have been crazy expensive, no? I mean, you don't
yeah.
have to say how much, but
No, for sure, for sure. Well, and I'll like this is great advice if anyone's looking to get older shoes, and it doesn't have to be 85s, but there's a Japanese site called Macari, and it's kind of like not eBay, but like I guess Yahoo auctions a little bit. But there's a lot of so Macari has just a lot of pairs of really old Jordans and Nikes and things like that. And I was luckily able to find a pair in my size, which was great. But also, it was a pair that was worn, no box, nothing like that. So the price wasn't as crazy as it could have been, just based on the fact of like, after the Last Dance and all that, like how crazy the price of original Jordans went. So I got a good price from there. It was all authentic and everything like that. I don't know if your followers follow Foxtrot Uniform on Instagram, but he was a really great resource for me for like tracking a pair down, just because he knows so much about these OG 85s, and he gave me the green light and everything like that. So it was good. But yeah, it wasn't cheap, but it also wasn't as bad as what I'm seeing them go for now.
That's good though,
Yeah.
because I've seen some pairs like the DS with OG box and all that stuff. They go for crazy amounts of money.
It's insane. I feel like you're getting to a point where you can't wear that. Like you have to.
It's pretty much like a art,
Yeah,
like a collectible.
Yeah, for sure.
So most people know you for your sneaker customization work and your really incredible photos, but can you share with our listeners a bit about your background, what you do for work, and how you just got into sneakers in the first place?
So my 9 to 5, or like my career, I'm an associate creative director at an advertising agency in Toronto. So I went to school for advertising, like graphic design, art direction, and things like that. So I went to school for a few years in Hamilton, then got an internship at an agency downtown Toronto. And that was in 2012. So I've been working in the industry now for almost 10 years, I guess. Or what is that? 2012? Yeah,
Yeah, almost.
coming
Yeah.
up. Yeah. Look at my great addition. Um, but yeah, so I that's what I do in my day to day. Lots of creative strategy and things like that. Art direction as well, design and things like that. So that was great because I feel like as I transitioned into trying to build a following and take the Instagram thing a little bit more seriously, a lot of like what I learned in terms of shooting and like art direction and things like that really helped with like the photography and whatnot. Because I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a photographer because I just have an iPhone, and people ask me all the time what kind of like what's my gear and stuff, and I'm like, I have like iPhone 11 Pro, and that's what I use, and that's how I shoot everything.
It's crazy though. It shows you that it's not about the gear at all. Like, I mean, the gear helps you to some extent, but if you have that creative eye and the eye for taking photos, then you can do crazy stuff like you do, right? So
For sure, yeah, and I feel like that's a good thing for people to know, right? Like, it's as long as you mentioned, you have an eye for it, and I mean, even if you don't, you can just keep practicing. And Lightroom is what I use to like edit a lot of my photos, so that's a powerful tool, and you can just, I think, work at it and get to a point where you're probably feeling more comfortable than you were before.
so clearly like you're a really creative guy and really talented, but how did you even get involved in sneakers in the first place? Was it like a Jordan thing? Was it like a skateboard thing or
Yeah, so I mean, in high school, I was a skate kid, skateboarder, and there was a local skate shop in Hamilton because I went to school in Hamilton, from Hamilton, called Flat Spot,
Mhm.
and the owner there, Trevor Rowan, he's an OG, like such a great dude, but like honestly was like a pillar of the community for skateboarding and still is. But he was the one who got me into sneakers because he had an SB account at the time, and I really had no clue about like collecting and all that kind of stuff. Like it was like 2005, probably 2004, towards like the tail end of my high school career. High school career, I don't know if that's the thing, but anyways, it was towards the tail end of high school, and yeah, he got me hooked on SBs because I had no clue of that world, and then that kind of like skyrocketed from there. I was super interested and kind of became obsessive about it, and that's when like the dunk thing was like first popping off. Like that
do
was
you remember what your first SB dunk was?
yeah, and I'm probably gonna get this wrong because I think now I can't remember if it's a dunk or a dunk SB, and I know people get flamed all the time, but I'm pretty sure it was the dunk maple. It was like black and like brown. Like the toe box was black, and then the rest of the shoe was like brown, and then the mid panel was black. I think it was called the maple. Yeah, that I remember distinctly as being like my first like Nike dunk, and I was like, oh, this. So, oh, wait, do you curse?
Yeah,
Oh,
say
okay,
whatever
go
you
for
want,
it.
man.
I was like, I never know. I was like, yeah, that was the first one to set it off, and then started to like trail into like Jordans and things like that, and get a little bit more into that world. But the dunk thing was what first popped it off. But I found that like I didn't come back into like getting into sneakers until probably like when I had money, basically, like when I got like a real job, like career and whatnot, that I could actually start buying them again. Because there was a time where it was just like you're in school and you can't really afford all these pairs and whatnot. So I like watched from afar for a long time. And then, as I started like, getting into my career, was able to start picking things back up. So yeah, it's been like a kind of like a wave of collecting.
And in the early days, because you were skateboarding and stuff, I assume you were buying these dunks and like skating in them, or
Yeah. I mean, I had a pair of Mork and Mindy's that I skated in, and now I think about what they're worth now and all that. And I honestly, for the life of me, because after I moved out, my mom had like all these SBs of mine at her house. I had the Ferris Bueller's, like the Mork and Mindy's, Appetite for Destruction, like all the like skater dies, and I'm pretty sure she let them all go in a garage sale.
oh no.
And yeah, and the only one that actually, I think I have it right here. One sec. The only one that I kept, again, I skated it as well, but the only one that I kept was I just happened to take it one of the days that I was moving out, like way back. And then I just forgot that like she had all those shoes, and it's not her fault because like she would never know that they're worth anything now. But this was like she sold them like before the value was ever
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. But let me just see here. So I kept these.
Oh, sick.
And they're like I skated them, and they're kind of thrashed. But the Tokyo Taxi Cab Dunks, which are a super nice shoe. Like I love this shoe.
Yeah,
this
I have the green one, so
good, so good.
Nice.
So that was one of the ones that I was able to keep from being sold. But yeah, there's a little bit of peer pressure too, right? Like at the same time, if you're hanging out with dudes who like actually are, because I was never like the greatest skateboarder. I could do like kick flips and heel flips and stuff, but a lot of the dudes who hung out at that shop were like really good and took it super seriously. So you wouldn't kind of just go hang out and sit on your board, if you know what I mean. So yeah. I would skate, and yeah, a lot of them did get thrashed.
Yeah, well, I don't skate, but it's kind of like if I showed up at the court with like my Air Jordan whatever, and then just watched from the sideline and didn't never took a shot or nothing like that. But
yeah, let me just put on these Converse All Stars real quick.
Yeah. So your social media following has, safe to say, exploded in the past couple of years, especially since you started to customize your sneakers and give them that signature, I call it the Cran vintage look. So can you walk us through where that idea, that concept came from, and how'd you learn to perfect that process of, aging your shoes?
And I think it's like a super, maybe not so much anymore, but like I remember for a bit there, it was like very controversial to do that. There's a lot of haters. But I mean, I think it started with just like a love for vintage shoes in general. I really was a big fan of the Nike vintage packs that they would do, like the Dunks, which were awesome. And there were some like Air Maxes, the KOs, like all that kind of stuff. They were doing some really awesome vintage inspired models and footwear and customs or whatever, or not customs, but just the Nike vintage packs. And then it was a lot of it was just like being bored in lockdown. That's when it really started. It was like March, April of last year, where I was just like, I still want to make content. I still want to, be able to make something that feels different than what everyone else is doing, and just make it feel ownable. And I think that's where I just focused a lot of energy, and it was just fun too. Like it was just, I think, especially when you're creating content, you can probably relate. Like sometimes it just feels a bit monotonous and you're kind of just doing the same thing. And sometimes you can get stuck in a bit of a creative like spiral like that, where you're just kind of going through the motions and doing the same thing over and over again. Not that that's a bad thing too, because I think that's a great way to build an audience and make an aesthetic for yourself as well. But I just was a little bit bored and I wanted to do something creative with, customs. So I learned a lot from Filthy. He was the dude who I think started it first, and he did amazing work and still does. But him and I had a lot of chats early on, and shared a lot of info and things like that. But he helped me start, and then I kind of took it in my own direction.
So was there a point in time where, obviously when you first started out, the work probably wasn't as good as it is right now? It's fair to say, right?
Yeah, if you go on my Instagram and you go look at the green off-white Dunks that I did.
Yeah, I remember those.
I like cringe looking at them now. Because they're like way too, I was just learning, and and I mean, that's a fun thing too. Like you shouldn't take like this too seriously anyways, like making sneaker content or whatever. Like it's fun, it should always still be fun. But like going back and looking at that specific one, I was like, ooh, that one wasn't too great in comparison to like where it went. But you just learn. You learn as you go, and I think that's part of the process.
And was there a point in time where, I guess, like gauging feedback from people? Like I don't know if you were getting like negative comments or whatnot, but was there a point where you're like, okay, I've gotten to the point where I've made it in this space?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to gauge that, like I've made it or whatever, but for me it was when I started getting DMs from like celebrities and things like
Wow,
that. To
damn.
that was when I was like, okay, shit, like this is cool. Like then I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing something right with them, with the custom itself.
Like they would DM you directly from their own
Yeah,
accounts.
yeah, yeah. Which is every time anything like that happens, I'm always like nerding out. I'm like, oh, what the? I'm like, I always think it's like a troll or like someone's hacking my account or something. I don't know. Yeah, but I think the one that like really set it off for me was when I got a DM from ASAP 12E of ASAP Mob. That I was still so shocked that he sent me a DM and he wanted a pair. He wasn't sure what he wanted either. He just was like, I really like the vintage dunks and things that you're doing. So we did the Dunk High Platinum, I think they were called.
The white
Pure
and
Platinum.
yeah, pure platinum.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. And we did it on those, and they turned out great. I that's like one of my favorites that I've done, just because it's like super simple. It's a clean colorway, and that after I posted that and sent it to him and whatnot, that really bumped me up in a lot of followers pretty rapidly, which is cool. And it allowed me to kind of do more customs for other people and just kind of snowball from there.
More recently, you've gotten on the radar of a lot of major boutiques and creatives, and like we've all seen that you've been seeded sneakers from people like Ronnie Fieg and Undefeated and James Whitner's, like both a ma maniere and like you just showed the social status dunks. Obviously, it's super well deserved, and kudos to you. But curious minds, I'm sure myself and other people listening, they want to know what was the key to creating this sort of relationship with these legends and these brands. Like, are there any tips that you can share?
I mean, I think for me it was just like it is hard to build those relationships. I think it's a tricky sort of water to navigate, just because I feel like a lot of the times their DMs and whatnot are full of people who are
Yeah,
either
I'm sure.
inboxing them or
Tagging
whatever.
them or whatever.
Yeah, and for me, I think what helped the most was honestly just constantly tagging and um, just putting again the emphasis on when I would get a product from Kith or a product from like on my maniere, not seated, just like if I was
Yeah,
picking up one
yeah.
of their shoes, just do my best to like shoot it as best that I could and try to give it a unique spin or a unique angle to it, and just yeah continually post and tag and even DM. Just if they post something on their story, I would reply and say like, yeah, this is awesome, or like, really like, and I wouldn't just be like fire emoji, you know what I mean? I would send like a
Yeah.
message that with context, like, I really like the campaign you did XYZ, this is what I liked about it. Like, just I think that goes further than just being like stick, shoot, fire, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I think if you can, because it is
stand
tough.
out stand
Yeah,
out a bit, right?
for sure. And I think that just goes a long way when you can try and have a conversation about a piece of creative that another creative is releasing. And I think for me that's what's helped a lot. I've just been lucky to get the exposure and to open those DMs basically.
What was your reaction when, because I assume like the first few times it would just be, you know, a one way kind of message, and then eventually they it was like seen, and then maybe like a double tap like, and then
That's
I
exactly like, yeah, yeah. There's like a pyramid of like the message acceptance. It's like you're just getting single messages go through, then you get like the like, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. And then it's like I saw that they liked my photo on someone else's account, like how like if like hidden or
yeah.
one of those accounts like reposted it, like they would comment on that account, and I'm like, damn, I'm so close, like. And then one was like a follow, and I was like, holy shit.
Hmm.
James Whitner and Ronnie and like anyone that like of that, as you mentioned, like legend status follows you. It's again, I try to keep it like pretty grounded. Like I'm a pretty chill guy. I try not to like get a big head over anything like this. Like, because again, as I said, it's just sneakers and it should be fun, but it is like a really cool feeling. And yeah, it's awesome. And I can say they are very, very nice individuals, and the conversations that I've had with them, they're super down to earth as well.
For anyone that doesn't know, like I've known you for a few years now, and I've seen your account. Like I remember the earlier days when it was 5,000,
Yeah,
right?
maybe. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
something around
4,000.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you've just grown and grown and grown, and I'm like super happy for you, and especially like a fellow Toronto area. Like I know
Yeah,
you're from Hamilton, but like from
yeah.
the same area, and I'm seeing you get followed by Ronnie Fieg and stuff like that, and you're getting all these undefeated early shoes and stuff. That's crazy. Like I'm living vicariously through you, man, and I'm super happy for you.
No, I appreciate that, man. And same thing. Like we've been friends a long time, and to see your rise, and you just hit 100K subscribers, and to me that like unfathomable of like the level of just engagement that comes with. So I mean, it's been a back and forth of admiring what you're doing. So
Respect, man.
yeah,
Respect.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
So we've talked, and I know you've dabbled in YouTube before, but I know you'd mentioned to me you decided at the time that it wasn't really something you're interested in doing. What do you think the future holds for Cran in terms of upcoming projects or just big scale initiatives that you think you want to eventually get into in the next few years?
Yeah, I mean, I do there's a big part of me that does want to do YouTube and sit down and really take it seriously. But I do think, and that's why I've told you I give you major credit for in any like YouTube creator. It just is a whole other level of like work and work ethic. Not that I don't have the work ethic, but it's just I'm so busy with like my 9 to 5 and my career that it's hard to balance it. So again, I do take my hats off to you for that. For what I want to do next, I just want to keep building, keep having fun. I would love to like, collaborate with a brand and maybe release something, whether it's like product or, like if it's a shoe or a shirt or whatever it is. Like I just want to keep like building and trying to build more relationships. Obviously, I have like Cran's Coffee Shop, the brand that I got going on. That's taken a bit of a backseat just because of like the wedding and everything like that was leading up. But I'm going to go pretty hard into that in the fall of releasing some more like I would say like hoodies and things like that will be great for the fall. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, other than that, just like continue to have fun, continue creating, and just seeing what like other relationships I can build, and yeah, that's it.
Having fun is just so important, right? Like you don't want
Yeah,
to have this become like a chore and feel like a
that's
job.
it. Yeah, I think like that stifles creativity too, right? Like you have to, I think the more that you can just keep reminding yourself that it's fun and not take yourself too seriously, I think the more that I've done that, the more that I've been able to succeed, I would say.
And not to put you on the spot right now, but let's say hypothetically, somehow Nike reaches out to you and says, "Hey, like we want to do a Cran/Nike collaboration. What shoe do you think you would want to work on?"
So I did one with Nike last year. I did the
The Nike
Air
by
Max.
you, right?
Yeah, the Nike by You 270 campaign. Like we were actually supposed to release that shoe. It was supposed to be able to be purchased, but there was just a lot of stuff going on in the world that was way more important than sneakers. But I love that shoe still. I think that was a great one. But if I were to do one now, I would probably do something on an Air Force One, just because I feel like it's a classic shoe, obviously, but it does go really well with a lot of outfits and things like that. So for me, I would love to do just something on an Air Force One.
Talking like the low tops,
Yeah,
or
low tops. Yeah, yeah.
I thought you're gonna throw out the mid.
The mids. Yeah, we're gonna do a big strap on it.
Yeah.
No, I honestly do like mids on Air Force Ones. I was actually in a vintage store in Toronto yesterday, and they had a pair of highs, not mids, but they were. I've never seen this pair before. It was like all white with like a red Nike Air on the back, and the midsole was actually yellowed because I looked at the like the barcode inside or the size tag, and it was like I think it was 2006 it was produced or something. But anyways, this was if you're in Toronto, there's a vintage store in Kensington that has a really dope pair of Air Force One highs right now. They're like $100. Yeah.
Well, hopefully, in a few years we'll see that Cran Nike Air Force One extra large strap just for me.
Yeah, just flailing up the
Yeah,
side.
no.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, if they want to check out your work, can you share where they can find you?
Yeah, at Cran on Instagram, Jonathan Cran on Twitter, Jonathan Cran on TikTok, but primarily Instagram is where I post a lot of my content.
Cool. And for myself, if you guys want to check out my YouTube channel, you can find me at youtube.com/SeanGo. I'm on Instagram at sgo8 and on Twitter at sean.go spelt out. So John, thank you so much for, I know you don't feel your best right now, but
I'm good.
Good
The Propel has got me through. I would say if you're ever hungover and have some Propel, it'll push you through.
Yeah. And it's a long weekend. So, hopefully you can spend the rest of the weekend, recovering and not going too hard.
For sure. But thanks for having me, man. This was awesome.
Yeah, long overdue. Like you're a super busy guy, so just want to make sure you had the mic. I know you had bought that purposely for this.
Yeah. Hopefully this sounds fantastic. So I invested into your podcast.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Cool. And I'm sure we'll talk soon. And for everyone else, thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you in episode 27 coming soon.
See you later.